But nevertheless, we must, as Muslims, continue to resist this concept because it violates the law of the land, the Constitution, but more importantly, it violates the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh yes, we have some challenges today. After 9/11, we find a lot of things are happening. We find that profiling for Muslims has increased after the tragic events of 9/11, but we should not be deterred. Oh yes, we do have the challenges. People go to Hajj and they come back, American citizens, those who have served their country in the military, those who have been the doctors and the teachers and the lawyers and the businessmen of America can go to Hajj and they come back. And someone waits for them and pulls them into a room and begins to ask them silly questions. Where have you been? Anybody knows if you've been on Hajj, it's decided it's going to stamp your passport at least 5 times. Hajj, 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 Hajj. Where have you been? And then they go on and ask you, where and what did you do? And you tell them, I went around the Kaaba. Oh, really? And when you were going around the Kaaba, who did you see? And you say, oh, about 2 million people. And they say, oh, well, okay, all right, 2 million. And tell me, do you pray? Yes, at least 5 times a day, minimum. Do you read the Quran? Yes, it's my salvation. I read the Quran. And do you read these other books, religious books? Yes, we read religious books, but we also read all kinds of other books, books on economy and books on medicine and all kinds. We read. We are literate. We read. And then finally they say, well, do you have, you have sheikhs. You listen to the tapes of these sheikhs, and they go on and on. There's a sheikh this and a sheikh that. And then they'll finally say, and what shake do you like? I tell them, milkshake, strawberry, please. On the real side, I want to share with you something that's very important. And that is, despite all of the Muslim bashing, despite all of the demonization of our faith, Islam is still growing in America. Alhamdulillah, we're growing. Alhamdulillah. And Pew Research says we're the fastest growing faith in America. But not only that, if you dig a little deeper, Pew Research and Gallup both say of all the faiths in America, Islam is the most diverse racially and ethnically faith in America. So we are doing things here in America. So we should not feel that we don't have a place here. You have a place here primarily because Allah put you here. If Allah wants you somewhere else, that's where you would be. Kun fayakun, be and it is. Allah has placed you smack dab in America because He wants you here. You have a mission, and your mission is to stand firm and to hold up the dignity and the banner of Islam. That is what that's why you are here. And so we said to those, Brother Sharif, who want to stop us from building mosque, for those who want to say that CARE has placed infiltrators in the Congress because we're sending our young men and women to the Congress so they can be active and politically savvy in America and take their rightful place. We said to the Peter Kings and all of them, we said what has been said over and over again in this nation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Therefore, our life, our liberty, and our pursuit of happiness in America does not rest on anything but the sovereign Lord of the universe. Our life, our liberty, and our pursuit of happiness is God-given in this land. So, Mr. Peter King, Mr. Tea Party and tea baggers and whoever else you want to be, may be, we will continue to uphold this fundamental, God-given and American principle of equality of human beings, and we will say that the American Muslims make it very clear that second-class citizenship is not an option, never will be, and never will we accept second-class citizenship in this nation. So let me conclude. I don't want to take up all the time. Somebody said you got to be like Elizabeth Taylor and all her 5 husbands. Don't be long. But in any event, I want to say, yes, we have some challenges. And there are some bumps in the road. But my grandmother said to me, you know, when you face the darkness, when you face challenges, when you face trials and tribulations, it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. So we must light a candle today, and I want to give you a few very quick suggestions because we can identify the problem. We know what the problem is, but our focus should now be on what is the solution. What do we do other than complain? We must do something. So let me give you some suggestions. Number 1 is that we must continue to be advocates for justice. We must advocate and we must educate. But we should not stop there. We must be willing to litigate. If you want your rights in America, every now and then, you've got to take the legal road. If they go the wrong way, you sue them. You make them pay. CARE has been very good at that. Thank you. Therefore, we must not be afraid to use the legal system. We must not be afraid to send our young kids to the universities of law schools to come back and stand up for the rights of not only Muslims, but the rights for everyone in this country. Because when it comes to rights, when it comes to justice, Allah is an equal opportunity employer. So we must understand it, and we must be part and parcel of the political process. For some of these people, what's her name? Renee Elmer in North Carolina. Well, she's trash talking about Muslims. But guess what? There are enough Muslims and there are enough people of conscience in that district, I think it's District 2. If the Muslims get their act together, register, and then come out to vote, then we don't have to beg her for a meeting. We can just send her on our way, and we can bring somebody back in District 2 in North Carolina who want to meet with Muslims and deal with Muslims. So we must understand that one of the things that we need to do is that we need to register our people, educate our people politically, and then we need to take our souls to the polls and go and vote for our interests as Muslims in this country. The other thing, and I'm going to wrap up, Ibrahim. I don't want you to stand. I'm going to go ahead and move very quickly. I know you. Thank you so much. But Muslim organizations, as Muslim organizations, I say all of us, we need to check our ego at the door, and Muslim organizations must come together and must continue to work together stronger and stronger and stronger. If it affects CARE, it affects MAS. If it affects MAS, it affects ICNA. If it affects ICNA, it affects AMA. It affects ISNA. It affects all of the Muslim organizations. We must learn as Muslims to work together and forge a unified front. But that unified front should not just stop at the borders of the masjid. It should not just stop at the borders of our organizations. That unified front means that we must be willing to work with other other Americans of like minds. We must be willing to work with the Latinos. We must say, no, you should not have Proposition 10, SB 1070 in Arizona. No, you should not continue to make Latino kids and young immigrant kids the victims of the fact that because their parents are undocumented, that they can't go to college and they can't serve their nation. We must say as Muslims, we support the DREAM Act. We support fair immigration policies. And we must say to the poor, notice I didn't say middle class, because nobody's talking about the poor anymore. We hear the middle class, and that's okay. It's all right to be a middle class. It's all right, but I'm saying to you that we as Muslims must not abandon what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was champion